Hey guys, today's story is about how spirit recognizes spirit when you can see them, and oftentimes they will frequency match to communicate, and in this case, play with you a little bit or play with me. So this story is for my wonderful client, Kismet. Shout out to Kismet. She wanted me to post this so that she can share it. So back during the pandemic, when we realized that maybe we weren't all going to expire. It was a few months around August, September. My niece's grandmother, KK, and my two nieces at the time were 12 and 10. We took a little weekend trip to Chattanooga, Tennessee. This particular day, we were just about to go walking on the Walnut Street Bridge, which is the longest pedestrian bridge in the world, I think. It was built at the turn of the century, late 1800s, early 1900s, and it is a very wide, very long bridge that crosses over the Tennessee River. Very beautiful, fun place to go, and a lot of people walk on it, lots of tourists. It's definitely a popular place. Anyhow, right before we were about to leave to go walk on the bridge, we were getting ready to leave the hotel room, and I turned to my niece's grandmother, KK, and I was feeling a little naughty, feeling a little rascally. And KK is just the sweetest, nicest lady, and not the type, definitely not the type that you want to tease too much just because she's so sweet. But sometimes I can't help myself. And I turned to KK, and of course, during the pandemic, there was a name that became infamous. And I said to KK, KK, I just realized your name is Karen. And immediately after I said it, I felt bad because KK is just not, she's just so sweet. You would never want to make KK feel uncomfortable. And of course, my 12-year-old niece starts to giggle a little bit. And she says, hee hee, I just noticed that the other day too. So I looked at KK, and I don't think she felt that bad, but she looked a little unsure. And so, of course, I felt terrible. And so immediately I tried to take it back. But unfortunately, sometimes you just make it worse when you do that. And so I said, well, KK, it's a great name. Karen's a great name. And, names throughout time, they always kind of get a bad rap, like Becky and her big butt. You know Becky and her big butt, right, KK? And KK's a little older, so no, Ren, she does not know Becky and her big butt. And so I just kept backpedaling. And I said, well, then there's Felicia. You know Felicia. Bye, Felicia. And KK just looks even a little bit more confused. And she says, no. So, of course, I realize that I just need to stop. And next thing I know, we are leaving the hotel and we are on this Walnut Street Bridge. And it is crowded that day. And sometimes I will feel things. And particularly this day, as we walked onto the bridge, I was feeling the heaviness of the bridge and the history of the bridge. And I'm not sure if it was just this particular day, if it was the energy that I was in, but although it was very crowded that day and the weather was beautiful and there were lots of family and people having fun, I immediately kind of zoned in on a lot of the people that were sitting on the edges of the bridge. I'm pretty sure a lot of them were homeless. A lot of them may have just been regulars on the bridge that like to hang out there. But I was definitely picking up on a heavier energy, a sadder energy, a dissatisfied type of energy. And a lot of the people seemed a little colorless. Might have just been my perception. There was a lot of life and a lot of energy and happier energy around, but along the edges of the bridge, and then sometimes crowding parts of the bridge almost just to kind of show you the claim and who had claim to this bridge. There were people that just seemed a little more dissatisfied, a little bit of a heavier energy. And I somehow felt that the older spirit of the bridge, the history of the bridge, some of the sadness and tragedy that had taken place on the bridge was imbibed, not just in the air, but was affecting the humans and the homeless people and maybe some of the more destitute or regular people that like to frequent the bridge. And I felt that they took ownership of the bridge and that it was their bridge, and that if you were going to be on this bridge, that at the very least you should be giving them money and acknowledging their quote unquote ownership of this bridge. And that was just what I was sensing. And I had told KK how I had felt. And we just kept walking down the bridge. And like I said, it was very crowded that day. And I think I had about 25 people at any one time on both sides of me. And so there's a big crowd coming both ways, walking in the same direction as I, as well as coming in the opposite direction. And there's not a ton of rhyme or reason to it. But out of this big crowd of people coming towards me, I see a man with a pit bull. And I absolutely love animals. There is not an animal that I don't love. And not that I'm challenging anything, but I would even love the devil's dog. Just love animals. Let them lick my face. Just love them. But it was very uncanny that out of this huge crowd of people, this man and his dog are coming straight for me. There are people everywhere. Why is this dog coming straight for me? And he's not being vicious. His tongue is lolling out of his mouth. He's hot. He's like, but he's coming straight for me. And his handler is getting pulled. And it's a man. He's about middle-aged. My first impression is that this man is borderline homeless. If he wasn't homeless, my impression was that he was borderline, only because he just looked a little dry, a little gray, a little sun damaged, I guess. But he was not wearing a shirt. He was a good-looking gentleman, very fit. He was cut with a six-pack. His shirt was off. He was wearing a pair of shorts. And he's handling this pit bull that is just coming straight for me, and he's getting pulled along. And as he's passing me, I can hear him talking to his dog. And he says to his dog, "Hey, girl, what you looking at? Are you looking at Felicia?" And as this man and his dog pass by me, this man looks me dead in my eye, and he says, "What you looking at, girl? Are you looking at Felicia?" "Bye, Felicia." And then he just walks by. And at this point, I just kept walking. I just kept walking straight because my head was straight. I was just focused. And I didn't say anything because at this point in my life, I've been through enough strange things to know that I may have been the only person that saw this man and his dog. So I just kept walking. And the next thing I know, KK comes walking up next to me, and she grabs my arm and she says, "No, no." That's what my nieces and the family call me. "No, no. Did you hear what that man said?" And I said, "Oh, good." I said, "You heard him too? You saw him too?" She said, "Yes." So at this point, I explained to her that Spirit had seen me and was acknowledging me and was probably playing with me a little bit because frequency matching, they had tapped into my aura and knew that I felt a little guilty, a little ashamed of myself for teasing KK because she's such a sweet spirit. And probably too because I knew, or at least I felt I knew, that Spirit wanted money. I needed to pay the toll, and I didn't. And hindsight 2020, I should have thrown the guy a 20 or somebody to pay homage to the spirit of the bridge. But not sure how you guys take that story. Some people might think it's a little dark. I so much didn't. Even though the energy felt heavy, I still felt that it was playful to a certain degree, and that it made me giggle a little bit. And I was glad I was able to share it with KK. I'm glad in this case she could see what I saw too, and I'm glad I can share it with you guys. So again, Hala Kismet, and thanks for listening. And I'll have another story for another day.